Welcome to my channel. Today I am introducing Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. Let's start. On Earth 65 in New York City, north of a year in the wake of assisting Rout boss with mild spirits, Gwen Stacy relates her battle to make associations with anybody around her, feeling segregated in her job as Bug Lady. In the wake of getting out of her group, she recollects the last individual she felt near, her closest companion Peter Parker. He, alongside his Auntie May, was extremely near Gwen and her dad, perilous Skipper George Stacy. However, she never informed any of them concerning her twofold life as a superhuman. Peter was harassed determinedly at school, in spite of Gwen attempting to safeguard him. Unbeknownst to her, he began trying different things with a perilous substance. The evening of prom, a Goliath reptile beast went after the school and attempted to kill Peter's domineering jerk. Gwen, jumping right into it as Bug Lady, fended him off, making the structure break down on top of the animal. The reptile returned to Peter, who was mortally harmed by the rubble. Gwen attempted to save him, yet it was past the point of no return. Peter uncovered he realized she was Bug Lady, and consoled her prior to passing on in her arms. Commander Stacy found her over Peter's body and expected the concealed vigilante killed him, requesting a far-reaching manhunt for Insect Lady. In the present, Gwen gets back to find her father, who is not entirely settled to cut down the executioner of his little girl's closest companion. In spite of Gwen letting him know it's horrible, he before long leaves to answer an unsettling influence at the Guggenheim Gallery. Gwen is soon behind him as Bug Lady, killing the police outside and entering to find a material-based form of the vulture has been sucked into her aspect and is unleashing destruction inside. She is nailed somewhere near the reprobate, yet is saved by another between-layered voyager, Miguel O'Hara, aka Bugman 2099, head of the Insect Society. He tells her that Vulture, and others like him, have been getting sucked into imaginary worlds since the Collider episode in Miles' reality. His suit and powers are as yet battling to quell the Renaissance-time Vulture, and he utilizes his man-made brainpower called Lila to call for reinforcement as Jessica Drew, another Insect Lady. Together, the three can stop Vulture and save the regular folks and police nearby. However, Miguel almost utilizes a couple of stored-away teeth on the animal. Gwen is out of web and harmed, and stops to rest. She is found and cornered by Chief Stacy, who attempts to take her in. With no different choices, she uncovers her way of life as his own girl, to his shock. In spite of her attempting to dissuade him and declare her blamelessness of Peter's demise, he keeps on setting her apprehended. He is come by Miguel and Jess, who plan to return the vulture to their aspect. Jess persuades an exceptionally hesitant Miguel not to abandon Gwen isolated, and he permits her to go with them. A while later in Brooklyn on Earth 160, another humble bad guy named The Spot attempts, fruitlessly, to ransack an ATM utilizing his spots, which make entryways whose position he can't handle his powers. Miles Spirits, aka Bugman, shows up to stop him. He doesn't treat the apparently innocuous criminal in a serious way, as it appears to be clear he is clumsy and doesn't have any desire to hurt anybody. However, Spot demands that he is Bugman's foe. Before he can make sense of, Miles gets frenzied texts from his folks, Jefferson and Rio, who are sitting tight for him at school for a gathering with his rule to examine his montage future. Miles attempts to bring down Spot rapidly, however the erratic entries lead to a turbulent pursuit. Across the city, Miles ultimately stifles Spot, however needs to pass on to meet his folks. Miles is doing alright in school, yet a portion of his grades, and the entirety of his extracurricular exercises, have experienced his unexplained non-appearances. His folks are likewise worried that he needs to leave for a montage in New Jersey to assist with concentrating on layered travel. He leaves abruptly, seeing that Spot has gotten away, and Jeff leaves too, to Rio's irritation. Jefferson follows Insect Man, who has returned to battling Spot, the unremarkable man feeling offended that Bugman considers him low-level reprobate. While magically transporting everywhere, them three end up in vestiges of the Alchemax Collider. The Spot tells Bugman that this is where they were both made, as Spot used to be a researcher at Alchemax, the person who Miles tossed a bagel at in the principal film, and ran the test which brought the bug that pieced Miles through from another aspect. Moreover, when Miles obliterated the Collider, the energy delivered caused a mishap that transformed Spot for all time into the humanoid and trans animal he is currently. The Spot was evaded by his associates, companions, and even family for his condition. He becomes rankled and attempts to go after Bugman and Lieutenant Spirits, however inadvertently kicks himself into a profound trance, which closes behind him. Jeff is baffled that the lawbreaker moved away, as well as all the property harm brought about by the battle. He trusts in Bugman about his battles to be a decent dad and spouse, and the coward Miles clumsily offers counsel prior to leaving. The Spot thinks of himself as in a void, where he sees numerous entryways made by his spots. Glancing through them, he finds he can make a trip to various aspects through them, however loses energy and can't get back to in the middle between space. He decides to figure out how to get more ability to control the void and rout Insect Man. Miles proceeds to attempt to adjust his life as Miles with his obligations as Insect Man. While late to a major party to commend his father's forthcoming advancement to police commander, he stops to get cakes, yet is continually waylaid by Bugman obligations returning, missing his dad's discourse. At the point when he at long last makes it, the cakes are demolished, and his folks stand up to him about his mysterious way of behaving. Miles becomes disappointed attempting to think of a clarification, and snaps at his folks. Rio and Jeff ground him, and Miles storms off to his room. Gwen unexpectedly shows up through a layered entrance constrained by a watch given to her by Miguel, and she welcomes him to hang out. They suit up and Gwen fills him in regarding Miguel's association, the Bug Society, which she has joined to assist with safeguarding the different universes. The two watch the city for some time prior to halting to talk, and Gwen trusts in him that he is the main companion she's made since her Peter passed on, as Miles relates his own battles with the tension from his folks. He thinks perhaps he ought to simply come clean with them, yet Gwen cautions against it. As they draw nearer, Gwen comments that in each and every other universe, a variant of Gwen Stacy succumbs to Bugman, however it generally finishes in misfortune. Miles hopefully expresses that there might be a first time for the story to joyfully end. They return to the party where Gwen shows Miles her aspect bouncing watch, which likewise balances out her so she doesn't mess up when she is in different universes. Miles gets some information about joining the Bug Society, yet she turns out to be unexpectedly deterred about the subject and suggests that it's a profoundly particular and first-class bunch. Jeff and Rio barge in to meet Gwen, promptly disliking her companionship with Miles. Gwen needs to leave when her watch shows to her, and Jeff passes on Rio to converse with Miles. They have a genuine talk, at the same time, dreading everything that Gwen said to him. Miles still doesn't uncover he is Insect Man. Rio gives him her approval to pursue Gwen. Miles gets ready and tracks Insect Gwen to a deserted and is of late harmed constructing, utilizing his powers to turn undetectable and follow her inside. She utilizes her watch to reproduce what occurred, seeing that Spot made a small-scale collider to empower him to aspect bounce. Gwen goes nuts, and is called by Jess, who is irate that Gwen neglected to stop Spot before he got away. She understands Gwen resisted direct requests to avoid Miles, however Gwen demands she needed to see him. She lets Jess know that she will leave Miles' aspect perpetually, and the more seasoned bug lady allows her one final opportunity to get Spot before she tells Miguel. Lila tracks him, and Gwen utilizes her watch to go through an entryway. Not entirely set in stone to find out about the Bug Society and feeling forlorn without his companions, Miles hops in after her. They end up in Earth 5008, Mumberton, an existence where New York is a monstrous city in India. Miles unintentionally runs into Gwen while she is pursuing Spot, who has acquired significantly more command over his powers and is avoiding her without any problem. Miles likewise meets the nearby Insect Man, Pavitra Prabhakar. Pavitra has just been Bug Person for a very long time, however is as of now an individual from the Bug Society. Miles starts to fit due to being dislodged from his universe, similar to the others did the early year, and almost gets Gwen injured when he attempts to save her. The three follow Spot to Earth -50101 Alchemax, which houses a completely utilitarian collider. Spot closes them out with a force field and initiates the gadget. Miles utilizes his toxin powers to take the energy from the force field, however it's as excessively sluggish and not sufficient. Another bug individual shows up and utilizes his own powers to crush however the hindrance, prompting Miles on the appropriate strategy. He is Gwen's companion Hobie Brown, aka Bugpunk, an English insurgent rebel bug man. He joins the others in attempting to prevent Spot from entering the collider, however are past the point of no return. As Spot retains the power, Miles sees a dream of his dad and one more police officer being killed during a fight in the city. Spot, presently totally covered by the dull entrances and unrecognizable, lets Miles know that he will have his vengeance for how the high schooler legend's activities have treated him, and Getaway's aspects by and by. The structure begins to fall and slide down onto Mumberton, so the four bug individuals cooperate to clean the regular people off of damages away. As Pavitra attempts to save a transport holding his better half, he sees that her dad, Police Controller Singh, is likewise at serious risk. Miles goes to save him, yet Gwen keeps him down. It's too risky to even think about saying. Miles goes at any rate, and is only ready to save the auditor, to Pavitra and his better half's alleviation and appreciation. Nonetheless, a dark entrance opens up in the core of the city, and a vehicle brimming with other bug individuals, including Jess, shows up to contain it. Jess orders Gwen, Hobie, and Miles to get back with her to HQ. Miles is glad to be let inside the Bug Society, however Gwen is troubled. They are shipped to Earth 928, Nueva York, a lovely cutting-edge world in the year 2099. They enter the Insect Society base camp, where Miles sees many bug individuals from various aspects, including a computer-generated experience symbol bug lady named Bugbite, controlled from a distance by youngster Margot Kess. Confounded concerning why Gwen let him know it was a little gathering, Miles is given a wristband to keep him from misfiring. He likewise sees oddities, miscreants uprooted from their own aspects, who are detained in readiness to be sent home by the return home machine, a gadget that identifies the DNA of the peculiarities and sends them to the aspect they came from. They are brought to see Miguel, and Hobie advises Miles to consider cautiously about why he needs to be a piece of the general public, cautioning him to understand what he is battling for before he acknowledges their strategies. Miguel is enraged at Gwen and Miles for allowing Spot to move away, particularly at Miles for meddling. He is intruded on by Peter B. Parker, the insect man who helped Miles the earlier year with his baby little girl Mayday. Gwen assumes liability, saying she ought to never have gone to see Miles as she was compelled not to get him included. Miles needs to know what's happening, so Miguel chooses to clarify what is happening for him. He shows him a calculation containing the subtleties of each and every universe's insect man, and the things that connect all of them together, like the demise of a friend or family member prodding them to courage. Miguel makes sense of that these are standard occasions that are crucial for each insect man's universe. These occasions can't be changed, or, more than likely they will break the group, prompting wrecking results. Miguel makes sense of that he, at the end of the day, broke the standard when he attempted to supplant a variant of himself that was killed, to raise that rendition of him's little girl. Notwithstanding, his obstruction made that aspect and everybody in it blur into nothing. There are different subtleties that numerous insect individuals share and can be followed by the calculation, one of which being a police commander near Bugman winding up dead while attempting to save a youngster. This demise has been capable by Peter B. also, Jess as well as Hobie. It should end up captaining Singh in Mumberton, yet Miles saved him, making the dark energy show up and take steps to swallow the whole world. Gwen was attempting to stop him to safeguard the calculations group. Miles understands that his father will before long be made a chief, and the vision from Spot showed the antagonist causing Jefferson's demise while attempting to save a kid. Miguel affirms that as per their projections, Miles' dad will kick the bucket in 2 days, when he is confirmed. Miles needs to go save him, however Miguel won't permit him to, saying it is a penance that all insect individuals should make, and demanding that to harm the standard a lot of would make each aspect be killed. The other bug individuals encompass Miles and let him know something similar, even Peter B. What's more, Gwen won't meddle. Miles dismisses the idea that the calculation knows precisely exact thing will occur assuming he attempts to save his father, so Miguel captures him in a power confine, proposing to hold him until the group occasion has worked out. Hobie helps Miles to remember his toxin powers, and Miles breaks out of the enclosure and runs for it. Hobie looks on gladly prior to stopping the bug society and getting back to his own aspect. Miguel orders each bug individual in the high-rise to get Miles, yet he can avoid them into the Undercity. Peter B. tracks down him and attempts to dissuade him, saying he just dared to become a dad in light of Miles and attempts to inspire him to surrender for the good of his own. Miles will not permit his dad to bite the dust on the grounds that Miguel's calculation says it is intended to work out, and leaves Peter behind when Miguel tracks them from Peter's watch. Miles escapes onto a train destined for the moon, however Miguel pursues him heartlessly. He gets him, and irately lets Miles know that he would never be a piece of the insect society, since he is a peculiarity himself, the bug that piece Miles was from another aspect. It was never expected to mess with him, and someplace there is a world with no bug man at all as a result of it. Peter B. What's more, Gwen make up for lost time and unintentionally uncover that they knew about this, leaving Miles feeling double-crossed by his own companions. By and by, he utilizes his toxin strike to depower Miguel's suit, letting him know that he won't ever surrender, and he has now tricked all of the bug individuals from the base camp. He leaves Miguel and the others on the train as he turns undetectable and gets away from back to HQ. He actuates the return home machine, which filters his DNA. Miguel attempts frantically to stop him, however Bug Bite allows the machine to keep sending Miles away. Miguel is outraged and arranges Jess and Ben, aka Red Insect, to accompany him and chase Miles down. Gwen questions Miguel before everybody, contending that perhaps Miles is correct, and maybe Insect Man 2099 calculation doesn't be aware for specific what will occur assuming the standard is broken. Miguel utilizations to return home machine to expel Gwen back to her own aspect. Peter B. Furthermore, Mayday returned to Earth 616 to track down his significant other, Mary Jane, sitting tight for them. Peter contemplates whether he will be any great at bringing up a kid all things considered, yet Mary Jane consoles him. Miles shows up in New York, and Gwen is dropped off in Earth 65. Miguel, Red, and Jessica additionally magically transport to New York. Gwen attempts frantically to return and track down Miles, however her watch has been deactivated. She goes to her loft to snatch her things, however is tracked down by her father. They at long last talk, Gwen making sense of why she believed she would never inform him concerning her adjust inner self, and George tells her that he is stopping the police force. Gwen understands that implies he will presently not be a commander, and they accommodate. George gives Gwen a bundle left by Hobie, containing a handcrafted aspect watch produced using parts taken from the Bug Society. Gwen utilizes it to hop back to Miles' Earth. Jess, Miguel, and Ben split up to search for a significant distance. In the meantime, Miles is hustling through to city to his condo, considering all that the other bug individuals have told him. He successfully returns to his room securely, and is tracked down by his mother. Miles embraces her, meandering aimlessly about all that has happened to him since leaving. He concludes he won't be apprehensive any longer, and tells her that he's Bugman. Rio, notwithstanding, doesn't have the foggiest idea who Bugman is, and approaches her night. Miles starts to fit from layered removal, as Gwen shows up at Miles' unfilled room in Earth Solar Sawdust. Miles understands that the return home machine sent him to the aspect the insect who digit him came from, Earth by Alice. Aaron Davis, Miles' uncle, appears, still alive in this world, yet there is no indication of Jeff, and Rio is staying at work past 40 hours to attempt to accommodate her and her child. Aaron takes Miles with him up to the rooftop, inquiring as to whether he recalls the arrangement. As they leave, Miles takes in this rendition of New York, a wrongdoing-ridden, reprobate-managed, perilous scene, and sees that his dad has previously been killed in this universe. Miles recalls that Earth 42 has no insect man. Aaron gets a text, and before Miles can respond, he is thumped oblivious by an obscure figure. Gwen hears Mr. and Mrs. Spirits worriedly talking in the other room, and they examine their sensation of distance from their child. Gwen shows up and lets them know it is her shortcoming he has not returned, acquiring some regard from Jeff when he discovers that her dad is a cop. She passes on to track down Miles, and Rio requests that she help him to remember their adoration for him when she does. Miles comes to, restricted in Aaron's condo. He attempts to make sense of that he is from another universe, one where his dad is alive and Aaron is dead. He requests to Aaron's better nature, saying his uncle never really needed to be the prowler. Aaron lets Miles know that he isn't the prowler, however shows him the individual who is, Earth 42 Miles' spirits. Prowler Miles is entranced by his story, and Miles begs his partner to deliver him so he can save their dad. In any case, Prowler Miles has zero desire to let him go. Gwen assembles her own group to find and safeguard Miles, including Hobie, Pavitra, Margot, Peter B. also, Mayday, Penny Parker and her robot SP, Dr. Insect Man Noah, and Bug Hum. As they utilize Hobie's handcrafted entries to begin their main goal, Miles begins to energize his toxin. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe my channel.